Howdy all Moglax Lives. I think it's time to play a little Arc Extinction. Well, I had yeah, that's my Dodic. Come on, Anki. Come on, Anki, we're gonna go get some metal. Um so I'd planned today. Whoa. Well, I didn't have a plan for today, I guess. My intentions for today, though, was to be working on my next project. And so, with my limited time here, I guess it's not that limited time today, but with my time today, I had intended to jump on and get a little work done on my next project, but I'm like, okay, so one of the things I obviously need is a supply of cementing paste, right? Because I keep going after cementing paste. Oh, that was a close one. Nope, and we did it anyways. Don't die. I'm so glad you could turn. This is why I need... I hate to do this, but I desperately, desperately need to do, an ODS drop, or whatever it's called, so I can get my hands on some... Oh man, I don't know how to get back up with this guy. Or wait, no, I don't need to get back up, I just need to get around to my base. Right. I got a little lost there for a second. So I jumped on today, and I went off, and I was killing a lot of things to get a lot of chitin and keratin. And... And I had several hundred stacks of each. And so I thought I was doing good, and then I was on my way back, and all of a sudden the game froze. And so I'm like, alright, whatever, game freezes up sometimes. It is a glitchy kind of game. And so I had to shut it down in the task manager. It wasn't doing anything. And so when I started back up, I was in the pretty much the same spot I was in when I logged off, and I opened my inventory, and some of what I had done today for collecting keratin and chitin was still there. I still had about 600 or 700 combined. I was a little closer to a couple thousand, I think, when I crashed. And but you know, I mean, that's still a good haul. And so I came back to my base, and I loaded up with keratin, chitin, and I headed in to throw it into my chemistry station. My chemistry station was gone. Everything I did last episode was gone. What am I doing? I forgot what I was doing. I'm looking for an ODS drop. I'm looking for one of those pillars of smoke, because I need a cryopod. Can I just make cryopods? I might not need to go after cryopods if I can just make a cryopod. I should have looked first. Now I'm out here in Danger Land. I never made one before because I don't even know if you can, because so many of them drop out of those other things. So let's see. You can. They're made with crystal fiber, hide, metal ingots, oil, and polymer. I totally can make those. Where are they made though? can only be crafted in the tech replicator. So no, I can't make them because I don't have my tech replicator anymore. So yeah, so that was disappointing. So then with more of the rest of my remaining, I have a little bit of time to play today. I rebuilt my machines that I had built last time. So we'll swing about here and see if any ODS drops are ready to be harvested. Ooh, maybe I can get a big one. I haven't done a big one yet because, well, they were killing me every time I tried. Smash those insects, man. Not an insect, but you got stuff I need. You got what I need. Yeah, I'm gonna guess at this point that my lawnmower is not getting delivered today. Which was my big plan for the afternoon, was to get out there and finally mow the lawn. They're pretty ridiculous. I'm not gonna lie. I already told this story, but man, it's still the big thing on my mind this week. You'd think if you worked in a business where customer service was important, you'd work a little harder with your customers. I mean, I'll admit, I only hear hearsay, alright, secondhand from other people, part of the story, but, you know, we tried to order a lawnmower online, not realizing that there was going to be a enforced $2,500 limit on using a debit card, which is the dumbest thing ever. It's my money. Why can't I use my debit card to spend it? What kind of ridiculousness is that? I could spend it on a credit card, but I can't spend it on a debit card? So if you don't have the money, you can spend it. If you do have the money, you can't spend it. Anyways, so they call back, right, and play a little bit of phone tag, trying to get. Well, that's part of the problem right there. So we went online to buy a John Deere lawnmower, all right, and so I went to the John Deere website, and when you buy a John Deere lawnmower on the John Deere website, you have to pick the dealer it's going to be shipped from. And so the dealer I picked was the one that was local to me. Yeah, I totally do not see ODS, unfortunately, out here. So I'm just going to go get my Anki and go get some metal then, I guess. And so, insect. Scorpions, man, they got chitin. And so, so we place our order, and then the next day, now I placed an order, and then the next day I get a phone call from Pam. Pam, because my sister placed the order, Pam wants to talk to my sister, and so I tell her my sister's at work. I work from home, so I'm just basically always here. And but my sister, she's at her actual, office where she works. And so, uh-oh. Is this not the Anki I was just... Why are you so loaded down with stuff? This is weird. Why do you have so much obsidian on you? Man, I think they reset the obsidian. Oh, weirdness. I'm sorry, I didn't realize you was loaded down, buddy. I know I turned all that. No, you know what? I take that back. I did not turn all that obsidian over. That's handy though, because I am going to need to make a bunch of polymer when I go to make my tech replicator. And so, you know, they, you know, tell my sister, hey, the card didn't go through. And, well, it's a debit card. It's not a credit card. And so, she calls Pam. All right. Pam, no. Let me rephrase that. She calls our local store, and the local store tells her, there's no one named Pam here. And so my sister sends me a message, texts me a message, and says, yeah, there's no one named Pam. And so I pick up my phone, and I look for the number that called, and I start to text my sister back the Pam's number, and while I am I don't understand why that guy is not moving when I first jump on his back. It's weird. And so when I text my, or get ready to text my sister, the phone rings. It's Pam. Pam needs to talk to my sister again, and she's like, apparently you're playing phone tag and you've called the wrong store. You need to call this store, not the other store. I'm like, okay, I will. She's like, let me give you my number. I'm like, okay, and then you can let your. So is she still at work? I'm like, yes, she's still at work. And oh, the first phone call was, is your sister there? I mean, they gave my sister's name, but and I'm like, no, she's at work. She's like, okay, tell her she needs to call Pam at the store we're getting her more from. Thank you. Click. I'm like, okay. And so Pam didn't tell me which store she was from. Is the first problem, and most of our problems seem to stem from Pam. And so then Pam calls back, and she's like, "Is your sister still at work?" I'm like, "Yes." I mean, it's only 3:30 in the afternoon, so yes, she's still at work. And she's like, "Well, apparently she called the wrong store." And well, she called the store that we said was the store we wanted to get the lawnmower from on the John Deere website. So she didn't call the wrong store. You, Pam, did not give us the correct store. And so my sister calls her. I give her the number. My sister calls her. She hands her off to somebody else. She's like, I need you to talk with my finance person. And so my sister's like, okay. And so then that guy introduces himself as Scott. And so she talks to Scott. Scott tries to run the card. It doesn't go through because there's a $2,500 limit. So my sister says she'll call the bank. So she calls the bank. She talks to the people at the bank, tells them what's going on. The people at the bank say, okay, we can temporarily increase the limit on your card. And then that way it will go through. But it is a temporary increase for the debit card. And it will only be... Seriously, dude, if you would just turn a little bit, just turn. What is wrong with you? He won't turn. Look at him. What gotta do? What gotta do to make you turn? Just turn. Just turn. Just turn a little bit. Nope, we're just gonna slide. We're gonna slide because he refuses to do that. Come on, guy. And so she talks to that guy. She talks to the bank. She gets the increase raised, or the limit raised. I mean, she calls Scott back. She tells Scott what's going on, that she got the limit increase. She tells Scott that it's a temporary limit and that it has to be done today. And Scott says, "Can you stay on the phone while I run it?" And my sister tells him, "No. No, I can't stay on the phone. I'm at work." And so she finishes the conversation with Scott and goes back to work. And then nothing. And then the next day, Pam calls. And Pam says, "Is your sister at work again today?" "Yes." "Well, tell her she needs to call me." I'm like, "Okay." And so I send her a message. So my sister calls Pam. And so then Pam says, tells my sister that the card does not work and that my sister needs to come to the store. Not the store that's our local store, but the other store that is almost 10 times the distance. Like 50 miles away compared to 6 miles away. And, of course my sister doesn't want to drive all the way over there, and she's at work. And so my sister's like, "Well, what's the problem?" She's like, "Well, your card didn't go through." And my sister's like, "Did he try to run it yesterday after I talked to him? Because it's a temporary limit increase, and it was only good for yesterday." And Pam says, yes, he ran it yesterday. And she's like, "Well, did he run it after I talked to him the second time when I got the limit increase at the bank?" And Pam says, "Oh, no, I'm sorry. First Pam goes, 'Who did you talk to about running your card?' And my sister says, 'Well, I talked to Scott.' And Pam goes, 'Do you mean Scotty?' And she's like, 'Well, I don't know. The guy introduced himself as Scott.' Well, we have 2 Scotties that work here. And so I'm sure that the one you mean is Scotty, whatever his last name was." And she's like, "I don't know. He introduced himself as Scott. Not Scotty, Scott." And the woman's like, "Well, we don't have a Scott here. We have 2 Scotties." And so my sister's like, "Well, whatever. He was supposed to run it yesterday, and obviously didn't." And so then Pam's like, "I'm looking at your account, and he did run it yesterday. And you say you told him to run it after 4:30, and so that's after the bank's closed." And my sister's like, "No, the bank doesn't close until 5:30. That's an hour before the bank closes." And so then Pam's like, "Oh, well, it says right here he ran it at 15:23. And my sister's like, "Yeah, 15:23 is 3:23. That's before I got the limit increased. That was the first time I talked to him." And Pam's like, "Well, it didn't go through." And so my sister's like, "Well, could we try to run it on 2 different debit cards, and then that way we don't hit a $250 or $2,500 limit on the 2 cards?" And Pam is like, "Sure." And so my sister gives her the numbers, and Pam says it didn't go through. My sister's like, "Yeah, pretty much as soon as I gave her the last number, she said it didn't go through." So I'm not even sure she tried to run it at that point. And so then my sister's like, "Fine, we'll just go to the local store here and pay for it there." And so then I went to the local store, and I wrote them a check, and because I wasn't gonna go through all that hassle. And so while I was there, she called. She had to call the store that we were talking to, which is the main store for this chain, and tell them what was going on. And she talked to Pam, and she redid the story basically that I just told you. And she was like, "Yeah, her brother's here. He's paying for the mower with the check." And she's like, "Yeah, it didn't go through because there's a limit on debit cards. It was a debit card, not a credit card. Yeah, she increased the limit, but it didn't get run the same day, and those only last for the day you increase it. And so it had to have been run that day, right?" And she's like, "All right, well, it seems like it's all taken care of." And then she goes, "So are you going to have it delivered? Are you picking it up?" And I'm like, "Well, it was supposed to be delivered today. This day that I'm recording, which when we had this conversation was yesterday." I'm like, "But I don't know now because we just paid for it, and I feel like maybe we'll have to change the shipment date. I don't know how that's gonna work because I saw when I set it up, I had to plan like 7 days in advance, or 5 days in advance when they were gonna ship it." And so she's like, "Well, let me check." And so she goes in the back and she talks to the guys back there, and so she comes back out and she's like, "Well, it's not on the work order now." She's like, "So let me call back to the main office and see what's going on." And so she calls back, she talks to Pam again, and Pam says that because they were having issues, she pulled the lawnmower out of the shipping order for Friday, which is today for me. And so since it wasn't paid for, she didn't want it to be in the work order for Friday, and that's why it's not in the work order. And so then the woman I'm talking to in person is like, "Well, it's paid for now, so..." And so Pam said, "Well, I will put it back in the work order then." And so then she says, I mean, that's what the woman I was talking to told me that Pam had said to her. And she's like, "So I don't know what to tell you, but I guess they'll email you or call you about the shipping when it gets to that point." And I'm like, "Okay." So I was kind of hoping they would still get it to me today, since the store is only 6 miles away, and I feel like they should probably be able to, I don't know, help a customer out and stop being so antagonistic. I'll tell you what, next time I go to order a lawnmower, I will probably do it online again, but it's not going to be from this store for sure, because we were not treated well. I mean, I'm pretty polite when I'm talking to people, and my sister is in a customer interaction related business. She's a psychologist, so I mean, she talks to people all day, every day. So I'm not thinking it was on our end that the big problem was happening. Pam seems really rude to me. Really rude. And I don't care that she's the wife of the owner of the chain. She probably shouldn't be talking to customers. Not with an attitude like that. I'm not sure where the entrance back into this place is. So, I think it's over here, though. But, yeah, so I was kind of hoping that they would call today about setting up the thing. Obviously they're not, so we're gonna have to probably find someplace that does lawns and have them come out and mow our lawn for us, because it is knee deep. And because nobody told me the lawnmower was broken until after the lawn was already almost knee deep, and by that point I was like, well, I don't want to try and push it now that it's... I just thought that they weren't mowing the lawn because it was too wet. We had a lot of rain. I don't know if I can hit that buzzard. And but no, the truth of the matter was the lawnmower was broken and nobody was doing anything about it. Get away. Yeah, actually, here in a few minutes, my batteries should be charged, and I'm going to go back out to do some more yard work. That's what I was doing. The only reason that I thought I had some time was because it takes a couple hours for these batteries to charge. And so I jumped in here to play for a couple hours while my batteries are charging so I can get back out. And I bought a new battery-powered hedge trimmer. Not a hedge trimmer, I keep calling it that. Weed trimmer. Because, like I said, the grass is knee-high. I'm going to have to see if we got some gas, too. I asked them to pick me up some gas, but that couldn't happen. They were too busy. They were too busy going fishing at the park. Oh man, that's a totally different story. So my niece is in a recital, a dance recital. She's in ballet, I guess. She's like 6. So my brother-in-law, he had a job interview today, and then we had ordered meat, and so they called that the meat was ready to be picked up. So those two things are only like 2 hours of the morning, and the recital isn't until later this evening. Or no, the rehearsal for the recital is later this evening. And so I'd asked him while they were, if he could get gas. Actually, I asked him yesterday if he could get gas, and he said he would. And so he didn't do it yesterday, and he didn't do it again today. And he told me he couldn't get gas today because he just planned for too many things today, and he was overwhelmed. He was overwhelmed by an interview this morning, and then driving to the meat packing plant to pick up some hamburger, and then the fishing trip to go to the park and go fishing. Just basically dropping everything that needs to be done here to go fishing in the middle of the school day. So his kid didn't even go to school today, so they could go fishing at the park. Because he's overwhelmed. I worked with all the trips to the stores and bank and various stuff I had to do yesterday, and then my actual job, I did not sit down. I got up at 9 a.m. and I worked till 10 p.m. And then I recorded my video last night, and I think he went to a soccer game, so he couldn't get me gas. And then today is about the same thing. I got up at 9, I worked till noon, I then went outside and I trimmed around the flower beds and in the flower beds and around the pool until I have made a wrong turn. Oh no, I haven't. I haven't. I haven't. I just get confused when I go over here. For about an hour, and then I came in and I worked on this. So I guess technically this is not work. And so I'm about 2 hours on this today. And my battery is flashing that it's on its third of 4 charges. So I don't know. I might have another half hour or so before that thing's ready to get back. I have 2 batteries though, so I might just take this one up and head out with a partially charged battery when I get done recording this. But all I've done is work today and prepare to record this. And he's overwhelmed because he's going to go fishing in the park. Oh, but you know, he has to take the dog because they can't take the dog with them, and they have to take one of the dogs later because they were supposed to drop him off on Wednesday, but because he screwed around on Wednesday so much, he didn't do what he was supposed to do on Wednesday. And Wednesday was crazy. He was supposed to be at something. Him and the other guy that's with him today were supposed to be at something Wednesday nights, and so they were supposed to leave. They had a 12-hour trip they were supposed to take. Yeah, I don't know how they thought that was going to work out. That math does not add up. Whatever they were supposed to do, I guess they were supposed to leave at, maybe that's what it is. It's 5 hours each way. And so they were supposed to leave at 7 a.m. And so they were supposed to be back here just about time to go to be at a 8 p.m. event. And instead they didn't get home until like 1:30 a.m. And so everything that was supposed to happen on Wednesday didn't happen. And so today, the other guy was supposed to go and take his dog with him. And instead, they've decided to go to the park. And so even though they got about a 4-hour trip, I think, to get out to the recital, it's a special recital. Maybe it's a 2.5-hour trip out to where they're doing the recital tomorrow. They have a big, like, in front of a crowd of hundreds, dance recital thing, apparently. Which I guess makes sense because they got different age groups, so there's a lot of dancers amongst the various age groups. Whew, this is a lot of metal I brought back. Yeah, so instead of getting everything together and ready to go for all that stuff, they decided to go fishing in the park instead because that makes perfect sense. They drive me crazy. They drive me crazy. And then, this is a weird thing. So, we're supposed to go see Godzilla on Sunday now. And it's like a text. And the plan is my niece and nephew are graduating from high school on Sunday. So we gotta go to the graduation. And so after graduation, we're supposed to go over to my brother's house. And then we're gonna go to Godzilla after that. and I get a text from his wife today asking if I'm gonna be at the movies tonight. And I'm like, that's moved to Sunday. Like, how do you not know this? Because this has been discussed with your husband, I think. At this point, somebody needs to coordinate all these people, I guess. Well, I did get a lot of mail. Let's see how much we got. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times 6. That's 6 times. No, why did I say 6? That's 36 doubled. Let me get a calculator so I don't have to think this through. Let me not get a calculator because it doesn't want to open my calculator. Fine, I won't open my calculator. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 4,100, about 4,200 metal I brought back. So, yeah, we should be well into the amount of metal I need. It's black pearls, isn't it? Dang it, I forgot about black pearls. Ugh. I'm gonna have to go hunt black pearls for a while at this point. I forgot. But I definitely have the 5,000 metal ingots. I have a lot of polymer. Crystal is easy to get. Element, I am going to have to get an element mission done too. I was thinking that cementing paste was part of this, but it's not, so... I should have plenty... Probably need to get more cementing paste, but I should have plenty of polymer. To do this with, so... what is that? 388 to go. I've already got 23, and I think there's space enough to make up for a little bit extra. Plus I could probably get some more obsidian easy enough. So things are heading in the direction I need them to get back to my tech replicator. So, alright, with that, click like if you like, subscription, catch the next one, and I will talk to you later.